Welcome everyone to another edition of Play It Through, and on this edition it's Low G-Man, brought to us by Taxan. Low G-Man was released in September of 1990 and then 1991 in Europe. It did not see a Japanese release. The most interesting thing about the game is instead of using a laser to blast enemies, you have a freeze gun that you use in order to freeze enemies in place, and then you can hit them in order to do damage. You have a spear that you're able to attack up and down with in order to do most of the damage in the game. So here we go with Low G-Man for the NES. As we begin, our goal is going to be destroying quite a few of the normal enemies to get some power-ups. You can level up both your gun attack as well as your jump. Other items you'll grab throughout the game include pieces of health and items that will just end up giving you some extra points to your score. You can only attack with the spear up and down, you can't attack with it straight. If you could, it would actually be extremely useful, but instead you have to use your gun when you're attacking straight. For the first little boss encounter, we're going to jump up here on top of the vehicle and then attack down with our spear. A few attacks later, we're going to step away to get out of the way of the arm trying to attack us, and then get back and repeat the process until the boss is taken care of, and we're moving on to Scene 2. All the enemies in the game can be frozen, including bosses, though it's not always the most useful. Now, there are 2 secret levels in the game. In fact, even the ending of the game tells you about the 2 secret levels, and I want to make sure that I do show them in the run. The first one is located in 1-2 here. Here we're going to freeze this enemy and then bounce off of them as long as we have enough jump, which is why we had to upgrade it in the previous level, or at least try to, just keep trying to upgrade. Once we have enough, we can get up here in order to get to the first of the 2 bonus levels. They're not really anything special, they're just single screens, both vehicles moving, and you just have to destroy enemies over a time limit. You can see the time in the lower left corner. Just wait for these enemies one by one to pretty much come your way so you can easily take care of them. After completing this, we will automatically move on to the next level. It skips the rest of the stage, so I do apologize for that. It'll also happen again when we get to 3-3, as that's the next one of these hidden levels. There's also 3 bonus rooms that you can go into that I won't be. Those contain just pretty much you falling and grabbing items along the way. Be very careful when you defeat enemies. If you see a red vial come out, get away from it as quick as you can. It's poison and will end up hurting you. The blue vials will heal you though. Once the time runs out, we are automatically transported to the next level. No bonus, no special, no nothing. Just move on to the next stage. This level is ice themed, as you can see. We're going to move along the top here, working our way over to the right. Try to dodge out of the way of some enemies, but I get hit anyway. One weird thing in the game is if you get hit in mid-air, you then fall like a rock. So you have to be extremely careful when you're making your jumps that you don't make them over pits where an enemy potentially could hit you, because you're just going to end up falling straight down into that pit. Jumping is a little bit quicker than just walking on the ground, as you probably were able to tell by now, so a lot of the game I'm just jumping my way through the levels. Here I'm going to get inside this vehicle. There's a few vehicles that you can ride in the game. You don't have to get inside, but it's fun to ride it nonetheless. You can see that it has its own timer. It's on the right side. Every time you get hit, you lose a little bit of time that you're able to control the vehicle. And once it runs out, you lose it. Thankfully, you don't lose any of your health, though. Here we got the next boss coming up. We're going to drop on down and use our spear upwards in order to stab at the boss. Just keep moving back and forth. Every time you stab upwards, you can also potentially break the icicles that are falling down as well, so they may not be able to hurt you. The game has a little bit of invulnerability time with your attacks sometimes, so you can negate certain attacks. You can freeze them in place to help you out a little bit. Either way, just keep working on them until they're taken care of, and we're moving on to the next level. Next up, as we begin the level, we're going to drop on down. We're going to hug the right wall as we fall. Watch out for this shark right here, and then we're going to keep moving our way down. As we drop off these platforms, we're going to hug left real quick, so that way we can get over to the left side, watching out for the mines that are floating in the water. Drop on down, watching out for this shark. We're going to freeze the enemies along the way. Thankfully, some don't even get in our path, so we can just kind of ignore them as we head down. Once in the boss chamber, get ready to take on this weird tornado-like boss. It floats around and you're able to kind of stab upwards at it. Sometimes it will float low enough that it'll end up hitting you. You can freeze the boss and then get on top of its head and attack it that way if you like. Just try to do your best not to let it run directly into you on the ground. If it hits you a few times, of course, you'll be perfectly fine. But just keep focusing on stabbing up. Almost every one of the bosses in this game end up taking a little bit of time to actually best. Once he's taken care of, though, we're moving on to the next level. 2-3, we drop inside here and head over to the right. There's some turrets as well as some other enemies that are lining the walls and such. Be careful of those. The spider robots you can use if you like. I love the fact that it got kind of stuck right there. I actually was completely stuck. I wasn't able to move until the spider unfroze itself. Head up here. The bottom path is a dead end. Take out each one of these turrets. You can freeze them first if need be. Head up here and to the left, and then jump up into the boss's chamber. This boss can be difficult to tell you're even hitting it because of the way you do, but if you attack the center part where it's flashing, you know that you're doing damage. Sometimes you can negate his attacks when they come down by attacking at the right moment. Projectiles that he shoots out will also still be able to hurt you, but you can at least negate some of the damage you would take from him just coming straight down. With that boss done, we're moving on to the third chapter here. You can grab some extra items from these random hostages that have been taken. They're captive inside of these containers over to the left right there. You're not something that you have to do though, so usually I just end up skipping them because it takes some time. Work your way over to the right here. You can destroy each one of these gun turret things so that you can get some extra items. One thing to keep in mind is when you destroy something with your spear, if they're frozen, you may get an item, but it's not a guarantee. If you beat them when they're not frozen, it is a guarantee that you'll get an item. The only ones that will always for sure give you stuff are going to be the bigger enemies that end up giving you sub-weapons that I usually don't end up using that much. Right here, I can't get up high enough, but that door to the left is one of those bonus rooms. The ones where you fall and gather items. Head up here and over to the right, jumping over a couple of enemies as they come directly towards you. These boomerang throwing guys are probably my least favorite. I always end up getting hit quite a few times by their random boomerangs or by them themselves. Head on up here and then drop on down. We're going to attack this thing directly. Watch out for the other turrets, but you can destroy the other ones if you want. But I found that if you just go ahead and straight up attack this thing, you can destroy it before it's going to be able to hit you enough to drain your health. You can negate some of the attacks of the waves of the turrets by attacking it. Once that fight's taken care of, we're moving on to the next level. Here we have a mountain-themed area as we work our way over to the right. You can take the upper or lower paths. A lot of times the upper path, though, is actually a lot safer. Lower path usually contains big pits that you'll have to jump over and contend with. If you do take a lower path, just be careful. Watch out for the falling rocks here, they can be difficult to dodge. For this boss, we're going to drop on down here and then attack this little broken egg-like thing, and that'll cause the boss to go into the air. We're then going to stay on the ground and do jumps up into the air to attack the boss straight up. If you time it right, you can actually jump over most of the waves that the enemies end up firing out. Be careful not to jump up too high that you end up running into the boss. And just kind of keep it steady so that you keep attacking him and knocking him upwards so he doesn't end up getting too low to the ground. With that boss taken down, we're moving on to 3-3. For this level, you have to climb upwards, work your way up, go slowly at first just so you make sure that you don't go too fast and you end up running into enemies. If you have a big jump though, you can get up quite a lot of levels before you end up either running into something or you end up landing on a platform. I have to admit, just playing the game overall, it's a fun game to mess around with. It's far from perfect as it has some issues, but overall it's a pretty interesting and enjoyable title. Now right over there to the right is our next boss, but we're going to skip the boss, instead keep heading up north, where we're going to go to the bonus room here. That bonus random extra area. Here, jump up into the wall and then over to the right, and you'll be transported to the hidden area of Chapter 3, this carrier. It's the same thing pretty much as before. There's two types of enemies though this time, this one flying overhead and then the same ones that you dealt with before. The whole premise of it is identical to the last one, just you destroying enemies, gathering some items if you like, and surviving the time limit is all you really have to focus on. After you complete it, we'll move on to 4-1, and we pretty much did complete most of 3-3 outside of that boss. And for that boss, you would just want to destroy both of the turrets that are in the room first. You can freeze them and then attack them, and then focus on the boss itself. As the time wraps up, we move on to the next level. (4-1) is the tower, which, as you can expect, is another one where we're going to be going up. Got to be a little bit more cautious this time around. There's some ceilings as well as enemies that are consistently firing, so be careful of the random guns and turrets that are all set up. Keep heading up north. You can use these things as platforms and keep jumping. Here we reach the top and have to deal with this disappearing and reappearing alien. I recommend trying to freeze if possible. If they get close to you or right above you, go ahead and use your spear since you have that opportunity. But most of the time you'll want to freeze and then go for your attacks. Just keep moving out of the way when needed. Sometimes he will appear on you, it's just something that ends up happening. But just keep tracking him down each time he appears and you'll move on to 4-2 in no time. 4-2 is my least favorite level in the entire game, and that's because of the boss battle. The level itself is perfectly fine. There's not anything too ridiculously challenging as we make our way through. Right here, when we drop on down to these moving platforms, I pay attention to the background, and I know where the columns are set up and where the platforms are below, so I know I'll fall safely onto them. I don't recommend just falling there the first time. Here we reach the end, drop on down, and enter inside the boss chamber. This boss shoots out constant vials of poison, as well as projectiles left and right, so you can't attack from those sides. Mainly I dodge between the vials of poison, which is easier said than done a lot of times, and I end up getting clipped a lot. So you'll notice my health goes down probably as I get hit by at least a few vials during the course of it. Don't go for too much, just one single hit a lot of times, and you should be able to at least get out of the way. You can freeze them if you like as well, though it can be difficult to get them, of course, frozen at the bottom, so you can hit them a lot. Either way, when that boss is taken care of, we're moving on to 4-3, the Mothership. The Mothership is a pretty short level, just going to work our way around. Drop down here, and then you have to jump over here. These big green things can hurt you, so if you walk into them, even when falling, you'll get hurt. For the boss, start off by freezing it and then go ahead and destroy the two turrets nearest to you, the one at top and bottom. Then go ahead and freeze the boss and jump on top of it and keep attacking with your spear. Thankfully, by destroying those two turrets, the other bullets that are fired by the other turrets won't be able to hurt you at all. They won't hit you, they'll just miss every time. And you can keep the boss in this corner, keep freezing them, and then just keep attacking them until they're taken care of. With another boss taken down, we're moving on to 5-1. As we begin, we're going to drop on down, try to make our way between the flying things here that we don't end up getting hit. When we land, it's time for the boss right away. We have all these aliens, as well as the main boss here. Take out the other aliens first, and then focus on the main boss. All you're going to be doing is pretty much more of what you did against that alien boss before. Either freezing it or just attacking it when you get those opportunities to deliver spear attacks when it's above or right below you. He does have a projectile that they fire out, but it's usually not too bad, and you can dodge it relatively easily. As long as you've taken out the other aliens, you shouldn't have too much trouble. it just takes a little bit to actually drain all of his health for sure. It'll take a while, but eventually we will best this guy and then be able to move on to the next stage of the game. Just one last level left to go. Now as we begin, we have to make a big jump near the start. If you don't have enough jump, it can be difficult to do that, so this jump right here is one that can get you stuck. You can use those special vehicles though to help you out and get up. I'm going to ignore these flying vehicles and just make my way over the gap and then up here. Keep heading over to the right. Now is when I'm going to use the vehicle to get across. We don't have much time with it, but we want to try to conserve our time if possible. Make sure that you get high enough up and over to the right side so that you're at least able to make it over the gap. We will be getting another vehicle in a moment, that one that we will be using for the final boss actually. I'm going to use these mechs to just bounce my way up to the top here. Here's where we're going to get our next vehicle. I recommend taking out other enemies that are on screen, that they don't end up hitting you or hit your vehicle as soon as you get in it. With the boss itself, what we need to do is take out the annoying firing things, these blobs. Take them out first, the ones on the left, and then go to the right side and take out them. That is your goal. If they're both taken care of, you can win this fight no problem. However, until they're taken care of, it's a real crapshoot to complete it. Unfortunately, you can't destroy the bubbles that they fire out, that's why you have to take care of them. Once they're done though, just focus on the mouth area here, just destroy both sides of whatever this is, and then focus on the green center circle. Once it is destroyed, it'll cause another creature to show up, in which case you have to battle that. Just jump straight up in the air and attack it. Watch out for the projectiles it fires out. If you stand right here, you can dodge the projectiles and still jump up in the air and hit the boss no problem. Once we deliver the final hit to the boss, we can sit back and enjoy the ending, the Low G-Man on the NES. So here you have the ending where you get to see, well, have you found the 2 bonus levels? Well, yes, we did find them. It'd be nice if the game at least recognized that you did go to them, so you could either not have this part, or at least something else special. Be like, hey, you found the secret bonus levels, but alas, that is not the case. So there you have it, Low G-Man for the NES. You can continue on, and there are multiple difficulties, which is similar to other Taxan games. But with that will wrap up this episode of Play It Through. I'd like to thank you for watching, and of course, I hope you enjoyed.